Here's a quick disclaimer. The views, statements, and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers. The statements are not intended to be product claims or medical advice.
Today we're flipping the script and interviewing someone you all know very well, Diana Fryc, Partner and Chief Growth Officer at Retail Voodoo, and host of the Gooder podcast. Gooder is a podcast where we get to talk with the powerhouse women in the food, beverage, and wellness categories about their journeys to success and their insights on the industry. This episode is brought to you by Retail Voodoo. Retail Voodoo is a brand development firm providing strategic brand, design, and marketing services for brands in the food, wellness, and beverage industries. Our clients include Starbucks, Kind, REI, PepsiCo, Essential Water, and many other market leaders. If your goal is to crush your competition by driving growth and disrupting the marketplace with new and innovative ideas, give us a call and let's talk. Visit retail-voodoo.com or email info@retail-voodoo.com to learn more. Today, I'd like to introduce you to Diana, who believes that business should be a force for good, and she uses her networking superpowers to drive change in the food, beverage, and wellness industries, specifically in the areas of employment diversity, food equality, and the promotion of sustainable supply chain. Founded and hosts the Gooder podcast, where she interviews the powerhouse women leading every level in food, beverage, and wellness. Diana is a marketing industry executive with 20 years of experience advising brands from Fortune 50 to startups on how to address their toughest growth challenges. As partner and CGO of creative branding firm Retail Voodoo, she uses her expertise in brand development, innovation, consumer markets, marketing, and packaging systems to help clients generate meaningful and sustainable growth. Tireless and determined, Diana is obsessed with the world of food, beverage, and wellness, and has been building long-standing client relations because people trust her to put the right combination of people and business assets together to move mountains. Welcome to the show, Diana.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good.
It's fun to be on this side.
I bet. Totally different.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so what's going on? We've got some fun stuff to talk about today, right?
Yes, absolutely. So as many of our listeners likely know, you were just in Anaheim, California last week for Expo West.
Yeah.
And we wanted to talk about your experience and just a little bit about Expo and why it's so important to you and Retail Voodoo. So my first question is, what is Expo West and why is it an important event for Retail Voodoo?
Sure. So Expo West is, I believe, the largest food and beverage trade show in the industry, but its genesis is really in the naturals and better for you space. It still sort of is in there. There are, but there are, the boundaries of natural and better for you are a little bit squidgy right now. And so subsequently, the show is gigantic. I think there was well over 80,000 people, and it was in Anaheim, California. If anybody has ever been to that show, they know that that is a squeeze for a lot of people, particularly on Wednesday and Thursday. Those are big days. Friday morning too, but Retail Voodoo has been working with natural and better for you brands since 2011, and that was a decided shift for us because when we came out of the 2008 recession and David and I were trying to determine, we wanted to use the opportunity to say, okay, what is Retail Voodoo? What are we going to stand for? And I had joined David in 2006. Retail Voodoo in its previous incarnation was called Lemley Design and had been around since the early 90s. And we'd worked with some of the largest brands in the world, including Starbucks and Walmart, PepsiCo. And we said, what do we want to do? And what at the time, Natural and Better for You in 2011 was still, it was still growing. I mean, it wasn't the organics industry of the 90s where it was like a wee little corner of weird looking products. It was starting to modify and it was growing rather rapidly. But big CPG had yet to really glom onto it, and consumer trends were only just starting to move that way. Now it's not really a trend, it's mainstreamed, and better for you is a category definition, but it just depends on who you are and how you want to use it. So bringing big CPG thinking, big CPG marketing thinking, and brand strategy thinking and innovation into this category in 2011 was really important to us. And we've just been part of the community ever since. And now here we are 12 years into it, really sophisticated marketers, multinationals are playing in this space. We're kind of looking at naturals in every way, shape, or form. And there's we still bring a lot of expertise to the table, and we have friends, really long-term friends there. So some of it, I'm going to be honest, if I'm going to be really honest, some of it is more on the social side. And there's a lot of business. We had 3 brands that launched there this time, so many former clients on the floor that we got to visit, a couple of people that we're working with now that we haven't exposed yet that we wanted to chat with. So it was cool.
That's awesome. And very exciting to see all of the brands that we have been working with at Expo West. So awesome. Well, speaking of the social side and how well connected you are, were there any special events that you attended while you were at the show?
Yeah, there were some special events, but I do want to do a shout out to those 3 brands that launched at Expo East in case nobody had, in case some people didn't get to see them. So the first one is called Henrietta Said, which is owned by Tropical Fruit and Nuts out of the Southeast. And that I would say was a ginormous hit. It was very fun to launch this nut brand, snacking brand, went into a space that we hadn't seen before. And then Unbound kind of had a 2.0 launch after we got some supply chain issues tackled out of last year. And they were in the arena this year. Walnut snacking brand. That family is really, really amazing. And then we also got to see the launch of a plant-based cheese spread called Simply V, which was in the breezeway between Hall A and the arena. And it was so great to see the crowds of people at those booths. So just want to shout out to those 3 brands. And if you haven't heard of them, just take a look at them online. And then what events did I went to? Oh my gosh. Okay, so I got invited to more events than I could attend. The ones that I did go to were there was two on Wednesday night. One was hosted by Women on Boards, and that was called Women in Consumer Packaged Goods. So that was a really fun event to go to. Met a lot of women that are on boards of food and beverage brands, aspire to be on boards, brand owners. I believe VMG sponsors it in some way, shape, or form. Just a really well-connected, amazing group of humans at that event with some really yummy food. Can I say that was a super fun, yummy event to go to. And then on the heels of that was the Naturally Network welcoming reception for Expo, which was at least 100 people. There were so many people at that event, and we got to see some Pitch Slam products up on the wall, visit with some people that I hadn't seen in a while, and that was really fun. Then on Thursday, what did I do on Thursday? There was an event that I missed, which was a startup CPG event. I was super bummed to miss that. I had a private meeting that night that did not allow me to attend that one. So that was a good one, and I'd recommend that event to anybody. Then on Friday, I attended in the morning minority-owned business, what did we call it? Reception. It was a breakfast networking event. Naturally Network is really working to kind of build the community of minority-owned business owners and brand owners within the community of naturals, simply because there's a lot of underrepresentation in general. So kind of build that network to let people work with each other is really great.
That's awesome.
And then That afternoon, I went to Project Potluck Luncheon, which was not affiliated with Naturally Network, but also really an organization of people of color who work in CPG. I don't believe it's just food and beverage. I believe it's in other categories as well. It's connected for anybody, so they don't have to be. Project Potluck is not about naturals. It's about all CPG. I think it is food and beverage. Shame on me, but it's this community of people, mentors and advocates for Project Potluck, and that was a really amazing lunch to go to. And finally, I missed the Jedi Collaborative networking event on Friday evening. There just was so many people to see in general. I could have gone just for events and been completely busy as well.
Well, that I
Yeah.
definitely believe. All right. Well, that was awesome. It was great to hear some of the things you were able to do and people you were able to connect with while you were there.
Mhm.
Um, so speaking of the show,
Yeah.
what products were you most surprised or intrigued by as you started to actually
Mhm.
do more than just the social events?
Yeah, that's so funny. I took lots of pictures. I'm gonna say there's one product and there's a handful of categories that I was eyeing. So first of all, the product that I was most interested in, what was it called? Oh, it was called Wild Good, and this is a extra virgin olive oil ice cream. It's an ice
Sounds
cream.
delicious.
Yeah, it was really good. I tried the mango. It was sort of like a sorbet, and they had other flavors there as well. My understanding is it took 7 or 8 years to formulate it. The mouthfeel was good, the fat was good. There's about a half of a millisecond where you can tell there's olive oil, but not the green part of the olive oil, and it's only because you're looking for it when you know that it's an olive oil. Otherwise, no way would you know. There's just, like, no entire way. Love it, has the good fats in it, and the flavor profile was super yummy. So I would say from a product standpoint, that one, and then another product which is in a category that I think is really interesting, which is the seafood analogs. I saw a lot of plant-based seafood. So I just want to say that Conscious Seafood, which is a sushi brand out of Canada, it's an analog meat, really, really cool. And all the fish analogs that were there, I was really particularly surprised at the number of brands that were there. And I'm not saying there were like 100, there were at least half a dozen, and I don't remember seeing them before. So I thought that was pretty interesting too. Plant-based is definitely, well, if plant-based is going out with a trend, from a trend perspective with consumers, nobody told the industry the amount of plant-based is huge. But I would say moving back towards the kind of real food, though. So I saw a lot of bowls, rice and beans and corn and peas and that sort of thing with all of these different flavors and textures in it. And there was also, what else? A real push on kind of, it was sort of keto-ish, but it wasn't pointed through the keto lens, which is the sugar reduction, but sugar reduction through actual reduction of real sugar, not by replacement of alternative sugars, if that makes any
Hmm.
sense. So there's a little bit of noise out in the marketplace with consumers apparently around stevia and some of these other type of sweeteners. There's a number of people, consumers that are kind of moving back into real sugar, but just looking for less sugar overall. So they don't want the big sugar throat punch feel anymore. They just want enough to give it a little bit of sweetness. And I think the last thing that I was really excited about was additional international flavors. So we're not just looking at our traditional Asian cuisines, we're not looking at our traditional South American or Mexican cuisines. We're seeing continued further stretch into Africa. I think the African continent is woefully misrepresented, and it's nice to see that we're starting to push a little bit more, bring in new flavors, bring in new ingredients, and then bringing those ingredients in traditional American products as well is pretty exciting. So that's what I saw that was interesting to me. And
That
it was fun to
sounds,
watch.
yeah, that sounds like it was really fun to see and probably try a lot of those things.
Yeah, I had a little trade choke out, I'll be honest.
Well, outside of our current clients, are there any brands that really stood out to you as you were walking through the show that you would absolutely love to work with? And any sort of reason behind that?
Well, there's a couple that I would love to work with. One is Bossa Nova because Neil Kimberly is there. And Neil Kimberly is somebody that we worked with at Essential Water and we really respect him. So
That's
we
awesome.
know wherever he has gone, so he's left Essentia and he's now at Bossa Nova. That means amazing things are going to happen. We certainly would love to participate with him and his team and get along for the ride there. And I'll also throw in Rudy's Bakery because Jane Miller is there. And I just think she's all that and 3 bags of chips. I would love to work with her and build amazing things. I'm sure she's probably taken care of, but in the off chance that she's not, boy, would I love to tag along with her. That could be really, really fun. There are a few other brands that I think would be really fun to connect with. I think Daya is an interesting brand that I would love to work with for a few reasons. I don't want to spill too many beans, but I think there might be we could give it a little bit of love and maybe modernize it. And Essential Bakery, simply because they're a Seattle brand and I eat so much of it that I need to get paid back, man. Come on. Joking, I'm joking. I'm joking. I would love to work with them. They're a Seattle institution and they're doing some fun innovation and I would love to work with them for sure.
That is awesome. That's a great list. And I hope that we can get all of them to come on board here at Retail Voodoo.
Well, if nothing else, it's just to kind of admire the fact that those are great brands.
Yep, absolutely. Great brands. All right. Well, those were the questions that I had prepared for you today.
Okay.
Is there anything else about Expo or about what we do here that you maybe want to throw in one last
little thing?
One
Yeah.
last little thing.
One last little thing. What I'm going to say about Expo West and Expo East, because Expo East is the next one, it's going to be in Philadelphia. And everybody knows Expo East has really suffered because of COVID in regards to the number of people attending. I love the difference between Expo East and Expo West. Like Expo West, I feel like I've just ran 12 teen marathons and I need a week off afterwards. It feels super productive, but I didn't necessarily feel like I got time with all the people that I really wanted to. And
Mhm.
Expo East last year, because of the size, I was able to be there for I think a day and a half was enough time for me.
Okay.
And what I like about it was I got real time with people and I had a chance to connect with people and do some deep thinking and talking in ways that just weren't possible at Expo West.
Mhm.
So I really would love to see some of y'all come to Expo East and visit with me, especially because Naturally Network will be doing their pitch slam there. And some really amazing products were shared last year. And it looks like this year we're going to have a pretty nice mix of brands as well. So, really would encourage those of you all to come to Expo East. If nothing else, then to try to grab a drink with me because, drinks.
Exactly. Drinks. Everybody wants drinks. Oh, awesome. Well, Diana, it was such a pleasure having you today. I really appreciate your time. And we've been talking to Diana Fryc, partner and chief growth officer of Retail Voodoo. Diana, where can people learn more about you and your company?
Oh my gosh. Well, we listed it earlier, retail-voodoo.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn a lot. I am there a lot. You can always reach me there, Diana Fryc, and on all the socials. You can find it on Retail Voodoo or Gooder Podcast on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and I even think we're doing Twitter. Yeah,
We are still on Twitter.
all on the Twitter.
Well, thank you for your time today, Diana. I am so happy to have spent this time with you and looking forward to seeing what's next through the work that we're doing here at Retail Voodoo. And thank you to our listeners for your time today. If you liked this episode, please share it with a friend. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day, and we'll catch you next time on the Gooder Podcast.
Produced by Heartcast Media.